Hello and welcome to this week's Coaches Preview Show. We have a big showdown tonight in 11 AAA. Brentwood traveling to Summit. On the girls' side, Myles, Thrash, head coach of the Lady Bruins. Kari, Goodwin, head coach of the Lady Summit. Spartans. Good to see you. Good to see you. We're right in the thick of things. We're on this second time around, if you will, in these 11 AAA games. Let's talk about the first half right now. Kari, we were talking off the air. You look at the coaches' preseason poll. I mean, I know it means nothing. Everybody's experts at this time of the year. But everybody, including yourself probably at this point in time, Summit 6th. Here you are sitting at 7-3 right now. This is a huge matchup for you guys tonight, the 3-4 matchup, you know, to avoid that 4-5 matchup that everybody really hates to see in the district tournament. But talk about where your team is and how you use that as, you know, motivation or whatever the case may be right now.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because Coach Myles and I were just talking about how, you know, our athletes just in Williamson County, it seems that we're all coaching the same kind of athlete. It just depends on what team shows up from night to night. But, you know, we had a big win Saturday at CPA and saw a lot of growth and strength in some of the girls coming off the bench, and kind of excited to see how that plays into the back end of our season and going into tournaments. So we're excited about tonight and look forward to the matchup. But, you know, at the end of the day, we just got to make shots.
Lady Spartans sitting at 11-6, 7-3 in 11 AAA play. Coach Thrash, 14-6, 7-3 for the Lady Bruins. We knew from the start. You liked in the preseason coaches poll getting kind of not as much love down there in that 4 spot. You love that. You've kind of carried that and owned that, and you've got some things to prove, and you've done so. You know, this far in the season, you're sitting at 7-3, huge wins. Beat Dixon comfortably, 62-49. We'll get that in a minute. But talk about where your team is right now.
Well, I kind of like where we are right now, and we faced a lot of good challenges, and the biggest challenges has been ourselves throughout the season by having a young group. And I figured, you know, we embraced that role that preseason picked to kind of motivate us a little bit. And I think with a young team, you need that to be successful. You have to have some kind of motivation to drive them. So, you know, we're still right now trying to build a little bit more, be a little bit more consistent with our play, and just trying to do the best we can on this second half of the season. Well,
for the Lady Bruins, you've got 3 that are leading the way. Emily Truschel, 16 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals a game. Delaney Truschel, 13 points per game, 7 rebounds. Amelia Osgood, 17 points per game, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. I know when you watch film, you know these 3, it's a 3-headed monster that's really difficult to stop. The thing that I find interesting is that any one of these girls can score in the mid-20s, even upwards to 30 points a game. The other one may score 5 to 10, but no big deal. I mean, that's part of that team concept that they have. You know, when you look at that, what do you start thinking about? How do you stop that?
Right. You know, just in preparation, we just have to make everything difficult. And, you know, I know that he does such a great job just running the floor, getting out in transition, kind of anticipating that next pass. And so we've got to make sure that we value each possession, but preparing for them is extremely tough. But we just, at the end of the day, have got to make everything difficult and disrupt what they're trying to do. And so hopefully we can do that more than they succeed.
Brentwood has won 4 of the last 5. Like I said, they beat Dixon comfortably 62-49. That's arguably your best quality win up until date, maybe especially for the second half of the season after Christmas. You beat Spring Hill 71-36 on Tuesday, coming in, winning 2 in a row. Summit, you've won 3 in a row. You mentioned CPA. You beat CPA 50-47. High quality win for you guys on that. You beat Centennial 62-28 on Tuesday, coming in on 3 games in a row. Marley Anderson, 8 points per game. Olivia Colson, 11 points per game. Taylor Penning, 9 points a game. And Lemperville, 4 steals. Kind of leading the way for the Lady Spartans. Talk a little bit about that. Olivia Colson, preseason coaches poll, obviously on that all-district team, highly respected, great back-to-the-basket post player, probably, arguably, could be one of the best in the league, I think.
Yeah, she is. She is definitely a force for them, and they do a great job of putting her in places to be successful. And she's going to cause problem for us. She caused problem for a lot of teams. She's a very good player, you know, and we have to stay disciplined and try to keep a body on her at all times and just kind of make her work a lot harder for some of the things she gets. So.
Marley Anderson, playing from that guard spot, hit a big shot against Franklin. What did that do for your team to hit that shot like that to win the game? I mean, obviously when you do that, that really gets your team going. But for confidence sake, this late in the season.
Yeah, she is. Coach Goodwin and I, we always talk about this. She's an anomaly. She is unique in her heart and her hustle. But to have a kid like that make that big of a shot, you get excited not just for the team, but individually. That just boosts her confidence. And she's handling the ball the majority of time on offense. And so with that confidence, you just kind of want to breed success for her, and hitting those shots late in the game. Hopefully that kind of spirals into late in the season and doing it again.
Well, if we look forward, and I hate to cast this crystal ball as we look forward, if the district tournament was played tonight, I always like to talk about matchups and look at that. I know tonight's game is the most important, and it really is. I mean, the implications of this 3-4 matchup are huge. But, if we played it tonight, Paige is going to finish as the District 11 AAA champion. I think as we come down here, you both play Paige before the season's up. Potentially, first place is wide open still at this point in time. But if it was played tonight, Paige would get the winner of the Centennial Spring Hill matchup. Let's just say for hypothetical situation, Centennial wins that. They would play Centennial. Dixon County would get Independent. So we look at this as it sits. Brentwood would host in the 3-6 game Franklin at home. And then the 4-5 game would be you guys in Mariska of Ravenwood. I mean, there's not an easy night off on this thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a knot.
Now,
It's always
I hate to talk about these other teams, but Spring Hill has not won a game. Doesn't look like they're going to win a game. Centennial's lost their best player, kind of looking for their identity as well. That first place is pretty comfortable. You still have to play the game, but that would be a comfortable spot. So how much of a premium is it to win this league? I mean, it's really, really high.
Well, we knew coming into the season, this league and this district is one of the most competitive you can have around. So every night, any given night, anybody can be beaten, whether it was district tournament playoffs. So we come with that mentality and that mindset. So you just got to be ready to execute your game plan and play the best basketball in the tournament. So anybody can be beaten, and there's a lot of great coaches in this league, and there's a lot of great players. So yeah.
In that first round matchup, you're talking about anxiety filled.
It's the worst.
Once you get over that, it's just like, all right, now we can go play, do the things. But that atmosphere and that feeling it's hard to duplicate. I always ask my wife's like, why you want to put yourself through this? But it's just one of those feelings, man. It's just, I always said it was the drug of my choice.
Right.
That was what we wanted to do. You see a game plan come. However, as you well know, back in the election days, the game plan never came together as much as I'd like for it to. But it's still that feeling to see those kids, react on something that came to fruition.
Well, given the opportunity too. I mean, these kids, have an opportunity to play in the best district in Middle Tennessee with, some of the best coaches and best players. But, we have a great support system and community that gets behind them. And tournament time, you just never know what's going to happen. That's the exciting part.
We really do. I mean, you start looking at these things, and I try to compare ourselves to a lot of people. Rutherford County girls basketball with a team, which is Riverdale, year in, year out. Blackman, on occasions, not maybe as much sustained success, but they've been really good in the past too. But when you start looking top to bottom, and then you start throwing in the cultural aspect of the student section, then you start throwing in the quality of coaches we have, I don't know that there's anybody better. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I'm a little biased. I may be a little jaded. We might not have the best players. We might not have the overall best players, but it comes down to quality of teams, quality of coaches. You put all that
the whole package.
You could put that whole package in there. So, all right, let's talk about tonight. What do we have in store? Summit, you are the host team. I'm going to let you go first. Give me a scouting report on the Lady Bruins.
It's going to be tough. We've recently done really well. I was telling Myles earlier, we've got great moments in games. We've got great quarters. We're just trying to put that all together. And so tonight, we know that defense is going to be huge for us, keeping them off the boards, kind of maintaining what we call the trifecta for them, and really trying to get the best shots and make everything that they want to do difficult. So.
Coach Thrash, same question to you. The Lady Spartans on the road. What are you getting your girls prepared to do, and what do we expect to see?
Oh, man, first off, we must be prepared for the physicality they play with. you know, the ball pressure they have and, you know, the inside presence they have. It's going to be a very physical game, so we have to come out the bus ready to play a physical basketball game outside of just being well coached and you know, being able to understand that there's going to be runs and how we withstand runs and just come out and try to execute our game plan as best as possible.
Summit, you still have games at Ravenwood, Indy, Franklin, at Page, and Dixon County. We talk about quality of schedule, strength of schedule.
On the back end.
Brentwood's got the easy schedule, right? They got at Page, Battle of the Woods, at home, and then they have at Centennial and Independence left. You look at this, you get over the hump tonight, let's say you get the win, right? And then you got to turn around, you can't even, you almost can't even
breathe.
enjoy it
Yeah.
because then you got to turn around and play, you know, Ravenwood there, Indy and Franklin. So, you know, how do you sustain? How do you keep your kids hungry? How do you keep those things going and talking about how the importance of you can't overlook a team that may not have as many wins as us and how important that is in the standings?
Yeah, we like to break down just small goals per game. What are we really going to focus on this game? Is it going to be rebounding? Is it going to, you know, our transition looks? Is it going to be steals? It could be a lot of different things, but the smaller focus that we can get and try to build that over time, I think that will be effective late in the season, but we are seeing glimpses of that now, and you know, we're excited about, you know, the potential that we have, but we know that each game it's tough. You know, when you've got you know, 3 solid players on Brentwood's roster that put up the majority of their points, it's just when you start to, you know, contest this shot, well, 2 are going to be open. So we're going to try to do our best, but we'll see what happens.
Coach Thrash, which role do you like better? You like to be the hunted or you like to be the hunter?
Well,
Because a lot of times, you know, Brentwood brings this mystique to the table, right? Usually they're on top. They've had a lot of success, boys' side, girls' side. Every single night you're getting a lot of best shots from the other team, right? So which role do you like? You like to play the villain or do you like to play the hero? I mean, on the other side of coming from behind and, you know, and it's hard for you to say that because Brentwood's usually not the underdog.
Right.
So which one do you like better?
well, we're going to embrace the villain role because in order to win the championship, you got to be the bad guys. And you know, with my team and the way we're built and the way we're constructed, we have such nice girls. And if I could get them
hard to play the
be
villain,
me,
right?
yeah, it's so hard. So, you know, we try to instill that in them. And some girls have certain levels they want to reach, you know, collegiately. And they got to bring some dog out in them a little bit to get to that level. So, you know,
That's a good point.
we embrace the villain role.
Well, I can see him right now. See, he's already planting the seed. They don't care about you. They disrespect you. Look at the coach's poll. He's planting, and all the girls are just looking at him like ice cream and butterflies. I'm just nice. It's okay, coach. No, it's not. No, it's not. So, you know, and sit in this 3-4 range. Now, if you continue to win, both of you, you're going to be the ones that everybody's looking to try to knock off and bounce back. So, you know, that lesson that you know, when you go into the halftime speeches, when you go into the pregame speeches, to keep them motivated, to keep them going, to focus on those little things, because any slip up, a last second shot loss could cause you to go from potentially first all the way down to 5th, and you know that coming into the district tournament how important those coveted spots are. So, best of luck to both of you tonight. Big game starts at 6 o'clock at Summit. Brentwood Lady Bruins versus the Lady Spartans of Summit. When we come back, we'll talk the boys' side. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Coaches Preview Show. We're looking at the boys' side of tonight's Big 11 AAA matchup. Brentwood at Summit. The number 2 seeded Bruins, 17-5, 9-2, Coach Greg Shirley. And the number 7 Summit Spartans, 7-10, 4-6, Coach Josh Goodwin. Welcome to the show. Let's get right into it. Brentwood right now ranked in the mid-state polls at number 5. Have won 2 in a row. Beat Dixon 51-44, Spring Hill 71-34. Coach Shirley, your team looking really good down the stretch as they always have. Deep, big matchup problems for everybody.
You know, it's a great group of seniors. It's a great group of seniors that have provided great leadership. We are along. I really think there's another step that we can take and we'll need to take that step in a very tough district. So yes, I'm very excited about my team. I love my team. Great group of young men that have high expectations for themselves.
Coach Goodwin, you're climbing that ladder, those young kids that you've got. You're starting 5 underclassmen. I got an opportunity to see you play this week against Centennial. Very impressed with your team. If you could put those 4 quarters together, I think Coach Shirley would agree with me, and anybody in the league. They do not want to match up with you in the first round of the district with these young guys. Right now, you've got Tristan Conger, freshman, starting. Kanata Wirtz, 10 points a game. Caleb Jolly, 10 points a game. Destin Keaton Wade, the brothers, 11 and 10, respectively. All underclassmen. Who's your oldest kid out of that? Is it Kanata? Kanata?
Yeah, maybe Kanata, because
What is he, a sophomore? Or
he's a sophomore. Caleb's a sophomore that's supposed to be in 9th grade, and Tristan's a freshman who's actually supposed to be in 8th grade. So we've got some young bodies out there.
You guys, but it's going to, I know you don't want to hear this. Nobody wants to hear this, but it's going to pay off in the future. I think it's going to pay off before district tournament. Now, next year is a given. You're going to be ready to roll with this group. But if you could, let's just say for a second, if you could happen to win your first round district tournament game and get into the regional, what would that pay for your club for the future and for them to at least experience that?
It would just provide that experience. It would kind of give some credence to what we've been telling them all year, that we're building for the future. We're building for that February game, which is really that first round game is the one that matters for everybody. I don't think there's anybody 1 through 8 in our district that anybody's really excited about matching up with. So
It's true.
We just got to get to that point and make sure that over the next 2 to 3 weeks that we're doing everything possible to continue to build on what we've done thus far.
You lost to Centennial 70-58. That game was extremely close, all the way down to about the 6-minute mark to go. And then you beat Spring Hill. Dixon 61-49. I think that opened everybody's eyes. Coach Shirley, I'm sure it opened yours. Summit goes to Dixon, gets a huge win. Coach Shirley, your team right now, 1-2 in a row. Like I said, Dixon 51-44 in Spring Hill, 71-34. Jack Thurman leading the way for you. No surprise to anyone, 15.6. I think a true surprise if you look into those numbers, 40% from three-point line, 49.8, 50% from the field, shooting the ball really well, high-quality shots for Jack.
You know, Jack went over 1,000 points recently. He's done it on the big stage. He's very tough individually to cover. I think he can make a play while he's being covered. That's something I talk about with players. I think that's something they do really well. They have players that can make plays. But Jack's done it time and again, and a lot of confidence in him.
Ben Mills, 10 points a game, 7 to 8 rebounds a game. Preston Moore, Harry Lackey, Cole Massey, John Winley, McPherson. Brentwood Bruins are deep, Coach Goodwin, and you play a lot of kids as well. Let's talk about your team first. You're new to the show this year, first time you've been on the show this year. Talk about your team and who all's kind of in that rotation right now.
We've probably got 11 or 12 kids that are consistently getting minutes for us. And that could be as few as 5 minutes, and we've obviously got several guys playing over 20 minutes a game. But our starters with the 3 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and then we've got 2 seniors, 2 juniors, and another 3 sophomores coming off the bench for us that contribute a lot of minutes. And it's really, we just go with the hot hand and who's playing well and who's giving us what we need that night, and that may be different depending on the opponent every single night. So going into this one, it's just tough because they're so physical and do such a great job executing their offensive sets, and then they can kind of ad-lib and go off script, which can throw any preparation off. So we've just got to be physical. We got to be tough inside. We didn't have Keaton Wade the first half of the year, so hopefully he adds a little bit of physicality inside for us.
Well, there's no hoping he does. I mean, it's obvious this past Monday night. What doesn't show up in the stat sheets, what people may overlook a lot, everybody tends to stare and look at those points per games and whatnot. But what I see from those 2 kids are the deflections, the defensive possessions that they have that make it difficult for the other team to get in, to swing the ball on a swing or whatever the case may be. The rebounding, their presence is very, very well known. I know you know that, Coach, after watching them. And talk a little bit about their presence and what it has, what it takes to have to beat some guys like that.
I mean, I think it's a combination of two things. I mean, we have to be able to handle their pressure. I think it's something that we take a lot of pride in doing, but we have to be able to handle the pressure they're going to provide from their defensive end, and offensively they play downhill. They attack the basket, and they have guys on the perimeter that can knock shots down. So we're going to have to take a lot of pride. Coach mentioned that we try playing physical. Well, we're going to have to play physical against their athleticism and really hold our ground and make them take contested shots.
Well, let's talk about it from two different perspectives. When you walk out in a Brentwood jersey, you're going to have a target on your back. That's just a known fact. Always been that way, and that's okay. I'd embrace it, own it. So how do you keep your guys focused? It's easy if you look at paper, and we get caught up in the social media world and the paper of looking at Summit and thinking, whatever, they're below 500, they're 7th in the rankings right now. How do you keep your guys focused on a team that that can come in and be very dangerous and can beat you?
Oh, when they have the wins that they've had this year, that obviously opens my players' eyes. I know the first game was not the same Summit team that we will see tonight. I know he's playing younger guys now. He had a couple guys out beforehand, and we just take pride in being the best team we can be every night.
All right, reverse to you. How do you keep your guys hungry? How do you keep them motivated? You've won some games like that Dixon game. You want to have some pay dirt. You're playing so hard. And that's one thing I also failed to mention, too, on your team is that they play so hard every minute. Their body language is good, win or lose, turnover or not. It seems to be like they're very coachable. How do you keep them hungry? How do you keep them going? Even though you're in some games and you're losing them close, how do you keep those guys just saying, all right, keep the eyes on the target. We're going to get somebody. We're going to pick somebody off.
Well, I think a lot of it is they're right there. We were 3-5 the first time through, and with the exception of the Brentwood game, our 4 of those losses were one possession with under a minute to go. And 2 or 3 of those losses we missed, I believe, 14 and 16 free throws. So we're one possession in 4 games from being 7-1 that first time through, and our kids kind of see where they're at, and they see how close it is, and it's an execution piece. It's a making free throws and finishing plays down the stretch, and they're right there. But we know going into tonight's matchup with Brentwood just how consistent they've been, and they're kind of the opposite of us. They're an older group, they're an experienced group. They're big, they're tough, they're physical, and they're used to winning consistently. And we're trying to build our program to where we can get to that at some point. But right now we kind of have to look at them and take it as a huge challenge.
So let's cast our crystal ball and look forward for just a moment. As it currently sits, and I think we've talked about this on the other show with Tate, and I said I really think on the boys' side, 2 losses almost will get you the championship. 3 losses maybe out of reach. I think it's the parity in the league is huge, but you look at this, you've got an opportunity right now. I know you've crunched the numbers and looked that you can get all the way upwards to 4th. Is that right?
We're a half game out of 5th place right now and 1 game out of 4th.
And so, it could go, it's just going to show. And you look at your remainder of your schedule at Ravenwood, Indy, Franklin, at Page, Dixon County. So you still have you got a tough little road, but there's some wins in there. Does Franklin lose a game or 2? I think so. I think this thing is going to come down to, Coach Shirley, if you look at it, another loss, we're not saying this is a loss, but another loss could be almost detrimental. But if you could hang at that 2-loss area, I still think you got a great shot of winning the 11 AAA championship.
Well, and it's about seeding and come district tournament wise. We were talking beforehand, and 8 teams could win on a given night. Absolutely. I don't know, your 8th place team, your 7th place team, 6th, all of those teams are very capable of beating anybody on a given night. I know Coach had Franklin in trouble. I know Franklin was in trouble last night. Franklin's a great team. Anybody on a given night, any of those 8 teams on a given night, there's nobody that I'm really looking forward to playing. out of those 8 teams.
And it only takes that one moment in that first round. I always go back to the example of Coach Glass and the Grayson Murphy team that y'all had such good rivalry with, and going in and barely winning that first round game. And next thing you know, you turn around, that's when y'all went to state tournament at the same time, and they all make it all the way to state semis. If it was played today, Franklin sitting first, they would catch the winner of the Independence Spring Hill winner. I think Independence would win that game, but the Independence game is no given. I mean,
They're very talented, very dangerous.
Brentwood, I've got you 7th. Do I have you wrong, Coach Goodwin?
I think with us having our bye early, it's a half game
I
off,
think you're
so
right.
I think we're 6 technically right now.
So it would be Ravenwood they would catch right there potentially.
Yeah.
Then y'all would be in the 6th, and it would be Centennial and you guys playing that matchup. And then you're looking at the Dixon-Page game in that 4-5 game right now, if I've got my numbers right. Of course, there's a lot of basketball to be played, but, man, you're talking about for an interesting tournament. You mentioned the Page-Franklin matchup. Page is leading 8 to 10 points with 2 minutes to go, and somehow Franklin finds a way. But you can't live and die by that. You got to put teams away. So let's talk about tonight's matchup real quick. Coach Goodwin, what are we going to see from the Brentwood side? I know we're going to see size, but how do we combat that?
We just got to be physical and be physical early. We've got to match their toughness. We have to rebound on the defensive end, and then offensively, they do such a good job of taking you out of what you want to do that when we get in transition or we get the ball down offensively, we've got to execute and we've got to handle their pressure.
Coach Shirley, other side of the ball, you see the youthfulness, but you also see a lot of talent out there, a lot of athleticism and quickness. What are you going to do to combat that?
Obviously we got to be able to handle the basketball. He mentioned 4 or 5 players that are all averaging right at 10, 11 points. So they're dangerous in a lot of positions. So it's not like we can key on one person or two players. We're going to have to really have the will to defend, and we need to make sure we come down and get good shots.
So as we're finishing this second half or in the middle of the second half, if there's one thing prior to the start of the district tournament that you want to be improved by in the next 2 weeks, what is it?
Just consistency. We in spurts we're good, in spurts we're great, but we've got to extend those spurts from 2 to 4 minutes to get them closer to that 32-minute mark.
Coach Shirley, same question.
I see players like Harry Lackey averaging over 20 a game the last 2 games. I see players stepping up. So we are pretty versatile where we can score in a lot of different ways, and just the continuing will to defend on defense.
Well, it's going to be fun. Best of luck to both of you. You're officially off the hot seats, back to go back to school and get back to your rigorous instruction. Yes. Coach Goodwin and Coach Shirley.
As always.
As always. Thank you. Tip-off tonight at Summit. Girls start at 6, boys to follow at 7:30. Thanks for joining us for the Coaches Preview Show. We'll see you next time.